What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations. I'm the host of Epic Conversations, 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner, and 2018 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. And I host the only online broadcast in the world for fathers and dads that is sponsored by Dove Men Care. It's also co-sponsored by Dad Central, Canada's national father organization, and I am the board chair for the Global Food and Drink Initiative, and it's a multimedia not-for-profit that showcases Blacks in the diaspora that are doing their thing in food, wine, and travel. We're broadcasting live on June 6th. It's Staggers State of Things time. We usually do it on Saturday nights, but a certain lady had a very interesting outing last night. I don't know if she'll tell us anything about it. So we're doing it. We're doing the conversation tonight on Sunday evening, and I'm glad there's some people already jumping in. I know you're used to your Saturday thing, but you know what? Once I got to change it all up. So let's make it happen. Stagger State of Things with Aisha and Jill.
Hey there.
Hi.
How's it
Sorry
going?
about last night.
Well,
Sorry.
Hey, you were out. You don't have to tell us. You told us where you were. You don't have to tell anybody else. We know where you were.
It's just
okay.
a lot of birthday weeks going. Birthday day. This is like the month of birthdays. I know a lot of Geminis apparently. So it's like, and they like to celebrate. So yeah, it was nice to be out.
I love the decor of both ladies in the back. Like Jill looks so relaxed and chill. Like she just looks like she could just swing her legs right and be passed out.
Yeah, I might be here like going, yeah, well, anyway, what I think about that is I might be doing that combo.
And Aisha, wonderful background with yourself. How's the week been?
It's been a difficult week, but it was done. I'm ready to kind of get back into the swing of things, and I spent all day writing. So,
oh my, all day?
Yeah, pretty much. Sleeping and writing.
Oh wow. Oh, Jill, how's the weather out in the left coast? Hot as usual?
Nice. I mean, it actually feels a little warmer than it is, but I can't complain compared to what all you guys back east are going through. And in some, the rest of America, apparently. So I'm very grateful for this nice, lovely California weather with no humidity, zero humidity.
And she won't do it herself, but I'm going to do it. Folks, follow Jill on Instagram. You'll get a taste of her latest music. So you need to check it out.
Thank you.
And folks, Jill still got it. Right, Aisha?
Yep. I love it. I love it.
Still got it.
And there's another surprise tomorrow, actually.
Okay.
That will be posted on Instagram.
Okay.
It's another surprise.
Yay.
Good.
Well, talk about surprises. Look at Jill. There's a side eye.
I know. Like,
I need to capture that look.
oh gosh.
Okay, let's.
Okay.
Everything safe?
I was like, is that my
We're
fire alarm?
fine.
No, it's
Yeah,
not
I'm
mine.
going to fire. Oh, and before we go any further, we have to do an RIP to someone. Jill, I wonder if you met this gentleman on the set of Purple Rain, Clarence Williams III.
Yeah.
Yes, it was. I just heard this afternoon. Very, very sad. He led a great life and did accomplish so many great things. It was just really, always very sad to see a colleague or peer or, really someone pass away. It's been tough, It comes anyway when you get older. We go through this and nobody can prepare you for it. And it's the part I don't like about getting older. You kind of just wish everybody could live forever. Some people.
Yeah.
I'm glad you said some, because I would have to check you on that if you said.
Oh God, it would be an eternal span of hell for us if Donald Trump had to live forever.
Oh.
It would be like a really bad horror Groundhog's Day every day. Oh my God, it would never.
And the funny thing is, it's funny. A few episodes ago, Jill said, It's not me, it's Aisha. So you see
It is Aisha.
It is a lot of the times, yeah.
So maybe what it is that Aisha thinks it, Jill says it.
Right. Aisha puts it in my mouth to say it. She's like always like, yeah, why don't you say this next week?
I know.
Like, okay, I'll say it.
Amazing. Okay.
Uh-oh.
Did Dr. Vaude freeze on us?
Yes, he did. Oh,
Okay.
okay. That
That's
was
something.
funny.
I know. That was something. Are you back, Dr. Vaude?
I know. Are you back?
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
We just can't see you.
You can't see me. Okay, so what I'm going
No.
to do, ladies, we're going to start with our first conversation topic, and I'm going to come back in. So our first conversation topic is 45 suspended from Facebook for 2 years. So I'm going to jump out, come back in. I know you'll be able to take care of this, especially without me. Now behave yourselves now.
Okay.
Who wants to start? Go ahead and start on it.
Why don't you start, Jill? Because
Oh, okay. Well, as we know, there was a ruling that came from Facebook that he will not have his account. And in fact, I think they're going to be monitoring a lot of the politicians and political speech. And really, they're kind of taking the gloves off on that front. They're just following what we mentioned, that they would all be following what Jack was doing on Twitter. Expect some kind of financial something coming down the pipeline with subscriptions. I'm sure they'll be doing the same thing that everybody else is considering. But as someone noted to me, yes, they won't let him have it, but they're going to give it back to him just in time so he can run for president again.
Right. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's kind of like they're going on this whole kind of sanitization of political accounts, and so they're not letting the politicians promote the same things that they are without being checked first. It's like they have to have they're going to have the disclaimer if the things are false, but they're going to still be allowed to post them anyway.
Right.
Which is still not the point. Excuse me. The point is still we don't want the misinformation out there, but 45 being suspended from Facebook for 2 years, it gives him a platform away from social media, but like you said, just for the 2 years before the next election, right, just in time for him to jump in and cause a ruckus. But it's not going to stop him from doing things like going and doing these mass outings and rallies and things that he'll continue to do.
He will, because the one thing that we can always count on from Facebook is that they're always breadcrumbing somebody. They give them they give you just enough to keep, maybe think that they're changing, but they really aren't. It's like you almost need to ask yourself, well, what's happening with the other hand, this whole sleight of hand thing. Yes, they're doing this, depriving people of, like, I heard that Twitter is completely down in Nigeria, inevitably, because Twitter removed something the president said. It's funny that the tone of these politicians now is the hateful rhetoric. It's just a standard now. It's a low standard, but they're all trying to do it. And anyway, they took him down and he said, well, then you can't have business in my country. So, it's like, okay, I'm not going to miss him. I think that I think if I could just believe that these people really are sincere, but it's businessmen and corporations, and I don't think that they don't mean anything for the good of the people, really. It's a little too late, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that you got to remember, too, this 45 being suspended from Facebook for 2 years comes the same week that he had to shut down his blog.
Yes. Did you ever read it?
I read one thing of it, and it's like from the desk of Donald J. Trump, and it tries to sound really official, but it's just like a long rant about who's done him wrong, and pretty much the same stuff you would find on Facebook, but in like thousands of words, so it's not readable. You remember?
Was he even writing it, or do you think that he was just dictating into a Word document and then it just sort of started to populate?
He might have been dictating it, but the thing of it is that it had the same rambling tone as he did, and that I think he forgot that his people don't read. So a tweet, a social media post was about as much reading as they were going to get.
It totally proved that they don't read,
and
how illiterate they are. That's not their stilo.
Yeah, and he's not the only one that they should be suspending for this amount of time. Marjorie Taylor Greene still has Facebook. She still has Twitter. And she is like the next most dangerous person in the GOP right behind Trump.
She is. She's definitely a mouthpiece for sure. So I don't know. I mean, we still have a few people that, it would be amazing if we could finally get everyone on board, but the corporations. But, I kind of feel that the corporations just have way too much leverage yet again, and we're seeing the effects of their personhood and their rights and how they're being treated. And if they are persons, then I think that they should be penalized like persons, like human beings,
Right.
And they should be held accountable for what's going on.
Right. I think Facebook is really late in the game when it comes to like scrubbing their site of all the hateful rhetoric and all of the just misinformation. It's like if they just took a year to deal with their misinformation, you'd be surprised at how clean that site would look in terms of the news and the information that's shared.
But I think that some of the problem with Facebook is, though, it's the ad dollars that they're trying to have it both ways. And that, let's not forget how much money the Zuckerbergs made, during the whole political elections and everything like that. So in their mind, it's just a move that you shouldn't expect a heart from Mark Zuckerberg. You just can't. And that whole philanthropy stuff of they gave away most of their money. That's what all rich people do. It's tax things. It's like we lived in a society where everybody was able to be, on equal footing, not like socialism or anything, but just decent, wages and things like that. Nobody would need their freaking handout. Do you think we really want to do that? But they get the tax breaks from it. So that's another bonus for keeping people poor and uninformed and down and out.
Yeah. And I think the other part of the ad dollars, like you were saying with Mark Zuckerberg, is that he's going to, unless Facebook finds another way of getting ad dollars, we're still going to see the same kind of information just recycled in different ways. People are going to get more clever about how they decide to put those misinformation messages out there in the propaganda.
And
just can get more creative.
I think so. And I mean, considering that everybody in the GOP tends to parrot everything that's being said anyway. They just parrot what they see. One who has the capacity for tweeting. We still have his stupid son who whatever he's doing on his site, spewing his garbage, and the other stupid dumb head kid that he has, Eric Trump, who goes on Fox. And, I just feel like there haven't really been any solutions, particularly from network TV too. I think that I'm just like, does Fox get to run rampant just to be, assholes basically? Is that who do we have to talk to shut that bitch down? Because it's like that's the thing I don't understand. How are these gaps and these things? Where's the accountability? Nobody respects Congress anymore. You get subpoenaed. You don't even have to show up.
Right.
I mean, whenever Congress subpoenas somebody else again, just a regular layman, do they have to show up? I don't think they do, because everybody else did. But you watch if they don't try to enforce stuff like that. They need to get their balls back. Right. They need to find whatever they've been giving to the Republicans or something, but they need to get back on the horn.
Now, this suspension is just for 2 years. I think that they're supposed to go back in like November of 2023 to determine whether or not it will be a permanent suspension.
Right. That's what they're supposed to do. I mean, there was a guy, and I'm trying to think, who said, well, they're just letting him where he'll be right back in time to go be, it was Elie Mystal,
right,
who was saying, and he'll be able to run again for president. And I made a really bad joke, which was like, the only thing he'll be running is the cafeteria in prison.
They're coming after him for real.
You know, so if they really put their foot to the pedal to the metal, and if we can maintain the House and everything else, and get some more seats in the Senate, it would actually, I think we could see this getting pushed through. But the way things are looking, it looks a little bit dodgy. If, you know, I know that some people yet again are losing hope about what the Democrats' strategy right now really is. I mean, the good thing is that we saw Jack take a move to keep him off and keep that, you know, clearing the path. And we now see Facebook opening the path. But it's starting to feel like Serena Williams, where she's got a clear path to like win the damn French Open, or we're here we are. And damn, something happens, and you're standing in your kitchen like, you know, Florida Evans going, damn. Because, and it's like you just keep going, what the heck? We have a clear way through, you know, and it's just a twist of fate. It's just so strange.
But I wonder how much of this decision made by Facebook had to do with the fact that they've been losing members. They've been losing people in terms of their numbers going down in terms of people who will sign on and what have you and just log in.
But who have they lost? Have they, would you say you think they're losing more of his followers, or are they moving? Because his followers still like to talk mess. It's one of their biggest areas for Trump's people to spread disinformation. It is even more so than Twitter. It's next from Facebook, I think, is Fox.
Yeah, I know. I think that they're losing subscribers and members who aren't Trump aligned, and that's something that bothers them, because that's something that does speak to their it's something that does speak to their advertisers.
Mm-hmm. It does.
They do have advertisers that aren't right-wing advertisers, and who want to get the majority of Americans in their pocket.
It's true. I mean, I guess they'll just be stuck with at some point, you know, the old Hickory Mill, whatever type of advertisers, and their local, however their local regional ads run. It's very interesting. I would be very curious to see more transparency in that with Facebook anyway. You know, I think that would be important, because once you kind of know where the money trail is coming from, then you can kind of get an idea of where someone or a corporation, where their allegiance is, because I don't know how much remarketing or restructuring they're doing for their image anyway. I don't know what that is. I don't know Facebook, other than being a propaganda site for, you know, I stick close to my close friends, but don't really consider much more from it.
Yeah, that's the only usefulness that Facebook has for me, was to connect to other people, friends and family. Other than that, you know, the groups and things that I used to go into, I don't go into anymore.
I agree.
And I don't even log on every day if I can help it.
And if I didn't have to be on it, you know, the sad thing is, as soon as they bought Instagram, they ruined that too. They make it where it just gets this didactic, like it gets so reductive. And that's how TikTok came along, and, you know, people go there. They try to confine so much, and I don't think it's a real supportive environment anymore, unless it's with your close friends.
Right.
Well, Ladies, I am back audio-wise, but not visually. So
Okay.
I didn't want to be out for too long. I hope you behaved yourselves.
We
We
did.
did.
Aw, geez, so I'm the cause of the misbehavior?
Yes, I think so.
Okay. So one of the reasons I wanted to chat about this also is, Jill, I know you have some very interesting, and you may have covered it already, feelings about social media. Do you feel social media platforms have the right to ban people like 45?
Yes, I do. I think that I also don't agree with anonymity online anymore. I think people have abused it. They've gone too far. I know some people have twisted it around on me and saying, well, what about people who are being stalked? Don't go online. I mean, if you've had to change your identity or you're in witness protection, personally, I really don't know why you would want to be online. It's just, that's just a sacrifice you're going to have to make for being in those situations. I think that anonymity needs to stop. I think that knowing who your bully is, knowing how to prosecute, how to do whatever, because they're leaving it so nebulous and so vague that even hackers, of course, we have to deal with hackers, but we do need some clarity and more definition. And perhaps if they put those parameters in, then maybe it just creates more steps and to prevent different, first of all, those mouths wouldn't be running the way they run with people who are holding regular jobs. They just wouldn't. They would not. You couldn't be rolling up on Facebook talking about race riots and all of this stuff and then show up at your regular job the next day. It just wouldn't happen. You would not have a job and you wouldn't have any livelihood. And I also believe that, they're private companies and there are rules for everything. We don't have a society of manners anymore. What happened to that woman who wrote those books, Miss Manners or whatever, Emily Post?
Yeah.
We really do need some kind of decorum because the ugly is just way off the charts.
There was never any written rules for how to conduct people's selves online. It just like the whole online social media thing blew up before there was any kind of set decorum for people to follow in terms of respecting other people and how to authenticate news and information and things like that. And before you knew it, it became this mammoth thing that people struggle now to get control over.
It's true. And we need to have rules. It's like you invite people over to your house. If you have a rule, you take your shoes off in my house. I mean, you take your shoes off before you come in my house or whatever it may be. I tend to think that policies of companies or wherever you're working, it's like visiting somebody's house per se. And you follow the rules. I don't just get up and walk. You go on Facebook, it feels like somebody just went in your refrigerator and took all your stuff out and was drinking it and playing it. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Like it feels very invasive sometimes. And I know I've been a beast sometimes to people. And, it's just time to even chill that out because I also learned by being a beast, I didn't change anybody. I didn't change them. I thought I could. Couldn't do it. So moving on. Now I just don't care. I just don't even care about them.
So what needs to happen with these social media platforms? Should they, because obviously I think both the Democrats and Republicans are looking to put some rein on them.
We need more regulation. We need regulation. We need more regulation. In terms of specific laws and things like that. And the social media companies need to be more transparent about what their rules, their community rules and standards are, and stop making them so flexible, depending on the person or entity that violates those standards.
And we need more rules on advertisers and the messaging that they're sending. I think that, in fact, I even think that the release of certain data information and how our data is being sold, I really think that needs to stop. I think everybody's rich enough, And I don't really need to find all this stuff. You know, I looked up some kind of cream for crow's feet, and I'll be damned if I've seen everything plus a crow and its feet
Right.
in my mentions. Crazy.
Oh my goodness. Well, we'll see if anything gets done during this session of Congress. Something tells me, nah.
No.
No,
And
this session of Congress is a dud.
Well, did we not know that before he even started?
Well, no, we had some hopes. We had some hopes there.
We did have hopes. And here's the craziest thing. The turnaround on this stuff is what got me, because I'm like, the Republicans are allowed to have the minority rule over the filibuster with the filibuster. So minority rule is going to be the nail in the coffin for this whole, with Joe Biden in here. No, for me, had I known that each way or every which way they're going to tame the tiger or turn the tiger's tail, I don't even know if I would have donated as much money, gone out during the middle of COVID to get people to vote. I don't know if I would have really just given a damn other than pack my bags and legitimately went ghost on this country, because the reality is that that's not cool. I feel completely used. I feel abused as well by my own party for just putting me out there with all this false hope that I'm like, you bitches weren't even thinking about this. I mean, you've known Joe Manchin 150 years. This dog-eared flop of a human being is sitting there, and you're telling me this is a surprise? Come on. These old bags have known each other for ages in their smoking rooms and in their parties and their luncheons and all of that. You mean to tell me you didn't see this coming? All of a sudden, Joe Manchin has a conscience, or he's so give me a break. Even he wasn't the same person during the elections that he became now. And personally, I'm infuriated. So put restrictions on everybody.
Yeah, there needs to be some sanctions or something where Joe Manchin is concerned, so that he learns you don't do this. You
don't do this to the majority of the people. He is a senator who is screwing the rest of the party. And then go into hillbilly town and live in the state. Take the state Senate job. Don't try to come for the national Senate and represent just West Virginia. Go be in the state.
Let's hold off.
Sickening.
No problem. We'll get back to Mr. Joe at the end of the conversation. You just give it an appetizer. So
Yeah.
let's move on. And the ghost is back. Former VP Mike Pence at a GOP dinner 5 months after 45 supporters sought to hang him. Quote, "The privilege of serving alongside President 45 is the greatest," and greatest honor of his life. I missed out that part. The greatest honor of his life. Ladies, let me ask you something.
Mm-hmm.
Someone tries to kill me. Someone wants to hang me, his supporters, and it's the greatest moment.
He still believes that he has a political career somewhere on this earth. I don't know why he believes that, but he does believe that there is a political future for him, and that he's going along with that in order to not, ruffle any feathers of the supporters and voters that he knows that Trump had. He also lies to himself a lot when it comes down to it, because it's to sit there and say, we did this. No, you left a huge mess. Let's not forget that there are almost 600,000 people who died from COVID. And the majority of them, 99% of them died while Trump was in office. So let's not forget that. He said that he did make that quote about not seeing eye to eye on the events that happened. but what does that really mean? Okay, so Trump might see it as tourists, and he might have seen it as an insurrection, and he doesn't even get that close to saying it was an insurrection. But I think the not seeing it eye to eye, of course not, because they were coming after you with nooses. But the fact that you still excuse the rhetoric and the language and the lack of care and concern for the American people that got us to that point is just asinine.
Yeah, I agree on this topic because, you know, he must still be receiving death threats or something. And he's just going to have to lick the tail forever just to be like, it was nothing. It was just a flesh wound, you know, very Monty Python.
Right.
He's an idiot. He's just an idiot. And he should just go home and be with his wife and pet rabbit, or whatever they got. I think that it's embarrassing, but I still think he's, you know, trying to struggle for his life because it's done. The fact that they bring him out there to speak and to kind of clear Trump on that whole thing is even more mortifying. Like, how demeaning. This would be the person we would want as president? Is he out of his mind? Because it's so weak. He's such a weak human being. Like, it's not even desirable. It's I don't even know what kind of job he could do at this point because he's so weak. I mean, even selling candy in a candy store, you know, I don't know what he could do. He's a weak shell of a human being. And he was a shell at the beginning, but now he's just like, we don't always see eye to eye. I mean, like, dude, just sit it out. Just sit this out. Take up crocheting or something.
I mean, honestly.
Yeah.
Well, and Black Beauty is saying, and Dr. Vibe, not only was Pence a target of a mob for lynching, but his family as well. It's totally disturbing.
Totally. Yeah. He has no cojones. I mean, it's like, really, he really didn't speak out to defend the Secret Service men who defended, not if he didn't care about his life, but his family's life. He's such a disrespectful yuck. He's just nothing. I mean, he just needs to not be even given any visibility whatsoever. It's really, really mind-blowing how he would even toss that aside. It's just more mind-blowing every day.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that they had to rush him out of the chamber, okay?
And kill the woman on the way out.
Yes, and hide him. Mm-hmm. And kill the woman who was trying to reach the area where he was. I mean, but he still is like, that was the greatest honor of your life to nearly
serve under him.
Serve under the man who nearly got you killed.
He's just a fool.
And did not tell his people to not do that. He at no point did he say leave the vice president alone. He said if the vice president doesn't do what we want him to, then have at it.
Finito. That's it. Yeah, have at it. So yeah.
I think Dr. Vibe.
I'm back. I'm here. I'm here. What does this say about how low politics has become in America?
There is no, it'll take years for anyone to ever trust our politicians here. First of all, they're too rich when they go in, or the way that money plays into it compromises each and every single one of them. It says a lot about we needed term limits when we do. It also says a lot that maybe artificial intelligence would rule the country better than the actual humans running in these positions, because it's pretty pathetic. All of them seem duplicitous. And even if they start out with good intentions, it gets a little bit messed up, because now we know that nothing is off the table or barring anybody from trying to bribe each other, extort. That's all out there. It would cause many people to not want to go into the political realm at this moment, because the passions are as heightened as they were when JFK was assassinated and Bobby Kennedy, which today was anniversary of his death. So when you know that there's another element in your country that's actually working to undermine it, it's like everybody walking into a room and it's eyes wide shut. They've got to do more stringent, monitoring of everyone. Susan Collins, it's like the news. What bothers me with the media is they break one story, but they're not breaking it. I want you to break it when you're taking this bitch into the fucking, into jail. I don't need to.
It's okay, Jill. No worries.
I'm tired of that heightened lift. And then you go, yeah, well, I'll believe it when I see it. And that they are a great contributor of the apathy that starts to happen in this country. And they need to be more responsible with what they're reporting, the mess that they go on and on and on and on and on. Because the problem is that what social media created and all of it is very capitalistic in that, my livelihood depends on my ratings. I mean, we had a president who was concerned about ratings, but maybe he wasn't missing the point. It is about ratings because the media made a hell of a lot of money with him in office. And that's why they're sorry to see him go on a really weird level, So to say, let's get back to normal, it's kind of like they gave somebody a really good taste of food and then they took it away from them. And that's just not how this country works.
It's like when you give a baby their first taste of food, they never want to go back to the baby food or the milk.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. Well, you know what, folks? We're going to take a quick little break, and we're chatting on Staggers State of Things with special guest Jill Jones. Jill's behaved so far somewhat, but I don't know. But she told us before we started she's a little tired today, but she's all right. She's all right. So, folks, give a minute. We'll be right back. What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, and it is Black Canada Talking time. Black Canada Talking is a live online event that provides Black Canadians the opportunity to give their takes on stories, POVs that are of importance to them, or we showcase Black Canadians are doing their thing.
The real aspect of what goes on behind the walls or behind the fence is a totally different persona and a totally different picture.
There was just a big sense of relief when we finally got there.
We have to realize that everything we do is going to have an impact on probably a lot of people we don't even know.
One of the mandates of the CBC is to reflect Canada back to itself.
Not a lot of sustainable long-term movement that will effect economic change.
God bless, peace well, keep the faith, and walk good. So we are back, and that's one of the conversations I host on a regular basis, most Sunday afternoons at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, Black Canada Talking, where we showcase Black Canadians. But we're going back south of the border now, where all the action's happening these days. Just before we leave, Mr. Pence, do you think he'll be running for VP or president in 2024?
I think that he thinks he can if Trump doesn't run in 2024. I think he thinks he can.
I don't think he'll get the money or the support to do it. Unless he's got a wad of money somewhere that he's going to finance his own run, there's no way. He's too weak. And even if Trump weren't running, I just don't think he would never go up against Trump, number one. And number two, he's done. I don't know what he's clinging to. What is he at the Heritage Foundation now working or something like that? Yeah.
Yeah, I think that he believes that he can be just to the right of like a Nikki Haley or something like that.
Your girl.
The dreams that those two have for future office, it's just done.
Delusional, done.
Yeah,
they're done. The base has like totally ripped them apart and don't really have any confidence in them.
So let's push it. I'm going to go a little bit deeper on this. Say 45 doesn't run in 24. but he endorses Pence. Do you think his base would go full out and support Pence?
He wouldn't endorse Pence. Pence is too
No,
Hmm.
too weak.
weak.
Why-
Pence is not.
Why do you think 45 would not endorse him?
Maybe if
Aisha?
he ran for a lower party, right?
Yeah,
Or a lower office.
but Trump has his sights set on. I think that he even knows that he can't win another election unless he cheats his way in, or somehow he is quote unquote reinstated back into office. But he definitely is not going to let Pence take something that he believes is rightfully his.
Mhm.
It'd have to be another version of himself that he could get behind that would either offer him a pardon or a role in the administration.
That's completely true.
Yeah, hold on. Sorry about that. So Black Beauty says this: we're literally the laughing stock of the whole world. No country will ever take us seriously again. And it's not over yet. This is 2021. It's embarrassing.
It's beyond embarrassing for me. I
Yeah.
mean, I think that we're at the point where that ship sailed, the ship of embarrassment sailed, and it's not even Schadenfreude anymore. It's not even because we don't have any real friends. I know that it looks like Biden's having a little, not as fruitful time, even mending some of those, securing those relationships. I just want to say, I think that there's a lot still yet to be done. And if he doesn't get his balls on him and get rid of the filibuster, I think that even the world looking at what's happening here, they won't see him as and give him the respect that he deserves, because they know for damn sure that Trump would have gotten rid of it if he needed to. And secondly, Trump just executive ordered as many bills as he could. So what, Biden doing in the first 100 days of, turning things over, because those were executive orders, there were actual laws that were enforced, and those are not that easy to overturn just willy-nilly. The biggest thing is, if Biden doesn't get on the good foot, or his friends don't really have a really come to Jesus moment and say, you're only helping China and Russia to become stronger. And the longer you procrastinate and let some old fart like Joe Manchin hold up and Kristen Sinema, he's got to be the one to do it. And he needs to be able to live with the aspect of people saying, talking mess about him. Joe has got to stop trying to be a people pleaser. The only people he needs to be trying to please is me. People like me and you and everybody who donated to his campaign. That's who you need to please, because the minute you stop pleasing me, we have a big problem.
Yeah, I agree. I just think that he's got to be more forceful with Chuck Schumer, even though they're separate houses, they don't operate if they don't work together.
I
and
agree.
So as long as Chuck Schumer is hands off, laid back, it's trying to be the good guy in the
Him too. Yeah.
It's get old school New York dirty down politics, because that's what you're dealing with. Mitch McConnell's not playing fair. He's not playing nice. He's not using the Southern charm. He's being nasty, dirty, rotten. He's a nasty, dirty, rotten scoundrel. That's exactly the game he's playing. And you've got to push back on that. There's no reason as to why. I've never seen a minority in any Congress or House have this much control over the majority.
It doesn't happen in Parliament. It doesn't happen in any other countries, but it's happening here. The only other place I saw some mess like this was Israel, and they were faffing around getting rid of their old fart. The problem is that you're so right, Aisha, and you're so on the money, because Joe Biden has to. You cannot tell me, because now it's starting to become disingenuous. In my opinion, I'm like, dude, you've been in politics now for almost 70 years or 60. You look like, were you born into it? You cannot tell me that you don't have that killer instinct, and that I need to see it now. It's really important, because, and we need it. We need you to go nuclear on these bitches because it's really important to put people in their places. And if you can't grasp from why the public gravitated to Donald Trump, you're not going to steal his audience by being, milquetoast. You aren't. And if this is what it's come to, yeah, they want blood and they want a bloodletting. So, and I hate to say it, but even we want a little bit of it too, because we had people who were injured in our protests and kids who lost eyes and
500,000 people died.
And we lost 500,000 people dying from COVID. And Joe Biden wants to be fucking friends? Get the fuck out of here. Get it together, old man. This is not who I voted for. And I need you to crush the filibuster and to crush Joe Manchin. Because I haven't liked Joe since I found out his daughter, a child that man raised, grew up to make money off people suffering with those EpiPens. Mm-hmm. That tells me right there, you got to go. Now, some might say, well, Joe Biden raised somebody who has an addiction problem. Let me tell you something. That who doesn't have a family member who doesn't have one? That's just simple. That can happen on many, many levels. But Manchin raised a woman too, who made money off of people. I wonder how many people died on her watch who couldn't get an EpiPen.
Because it's a life-saving measure.
Yeah, this family, they're dirty. Dirt. Let's get rid of the West Virginia dirt. I don't need it. And there's many West Virginian friends that I have who can't stand him. And it has nothing to do with Republican or Democrat. It has to do with just being a corrupt asshole.
Well, remember, his own governor had to come after him when he wanted him to sign on with the stimulus, because he's like, we need help here.
Exactly.
And you're about to go vote against it. No, we need help here.
Yeah. So those are my feelings, but Biden needs to step it up, because I didn't take money that I did not have during COVID.
Yep.
And like I said, I'm starting to be a little salty about this, man, because it's like, it's not cool anymore. And I'm not willing to let it slide. It's like, get it together. These people were not our friends, and they're not going to be. And they've only tried to thwart our place. That's all they've ever done. And they will continue. And now the minority division branch of it. And Chuck Schumer, stop looking like you're in the fucking diamond district in New York selling diamonds. Get it together.
Okay, so Black Beauty saying Jill and Aisha are spot on. President Biden is making us all lose sleep at night in a big way.
Yeah, it's not cool anymore.
Yeah.
It's time to up it. Just sick of it. I need to see something. And I need some toughness, tough love. I mean, maybe that's his problem. Maybe he doesn't know tough love, but he needs to get some.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think that he needs to make it known that for these two particular senators that decided that they're not going to be on the side of Democrats, that there's going to be some kind of there will be some kind of difficulty for them moving forward when it comes to things that they want.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And it needs to be take him off of, the committees, because I think that we don't want him on it, because he's only going out there and talking about representing his state.
Okay,
like
I'm gonna hold off because we're gonna cut. We're stealing the thunder at the end. So let's hold off a little bit more so we can get them at the end. So another comment here from the audience: Kamala Harris needs to fire his
to add some fire. Yeah,
I wish. Yeah. Exactly.
Oh,
but again, it is a matter of Chuck Schumer having a problem where he is not whipping his caucus the way that Nancy whips hers.
He's a terrible whip. I mean, he really is not
He's terrible
whipping.
at doing it.
He is. And I think now
Him,
we see
Pepper, and all the people
Yeah.
that he has right under him running the leadership of the Senate are just
he's weak. He's weak too. He doesn't know how to do it. And he's so used to being a spokesman in the sense of then this is his big opportunity, his big moment.
right.
And I think he's failing miserably.
Okay. Well, let's move on to our next conversation topic. Minneapolis moves to dismantle the George Floyd Square Memorial. Does that need to happen?
I don't know much about this.
Well, they're
where is it?
leaving
Is it a
from-
square or what is it?
It's right by the store, 38th and oh gosh, I forgot the other street, but the street right where the intersection where George Floyd was killed.
Uh-huh.
So where all the memorials are and all the flowers and things that
Right.
left, they're moving that out the way so that the streets can then become mobile again.
Right.
They're
Well-
leaving some permanent fixtures like the fist that's there, the fist that's been erected there. They're leaving the mural, of course, but they are going to make it a mobile intersection once more.
I kind of think they would have to. I mean, it does. I mean, you'd have to start dealing with your planning committee and your city, and I'm sure it's a kind of an artery into the area, and there aren't, in certain urban areas it gets very, in certain areas it gets difficult to get around in when it's more densely populated. So it's possible. Do you guys think it's a bad idea?
I think it's been respectful that they've left it there for over a year.
Yeah.
We reached the year anniversary in then a few days. The trial happened, and the primary murderer has been since convicted. I think even though we still have other cases ongoing, I think that it's time for them to start to make the city more mobile again. Leave the permanent fixtures there that are there, the ones that like the mural and this fist that they said it's like a statue.
Right.
And they're saying that they're not going to just rush and do it all at once. It's gradual. The city has a plan for it. And so that it's not going to be just thrust upon everyone. It's like one day everything's going to be gone. They're moving stuff. They're moving stuff gradually. So I think the plan to do it that way is better than just, one day saying, okay, guess what? We're taking everything down. It's done. It's over.
Well, let's hope that there's some memorial, maybe not to the same size, because it is a significant moment in American history. Yeah. And let's hope that there's some sort of remembrance in Minneapolis to that. So that was a quick one. But this
I think it's probably for the best because, ambulance and I think the fire department's I think it's important to be able to get
access
through. Yeah. Cause the city, the way that Minneapolis is, it's not always a through street and, the mobility, I don't know. It may not be easy to have it right in that sector.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's move on to, I think, a subject which everyone was talking about over the last week. Naomi Osaka withdrawing, first of all, from the French Open, now from the women's tennis tour for a while because she says she suffers from depression. She finds going to news conferences very challenging. And it's been very interesting to hear. Everyone seems to have a comment on this. Whether you're an athlete or not, everyone seems to have a comment. And I know Jill is a big tennis fan, so I'm very interested on what she has to say. And I know Aisha also has a lot to say on this one. So who would like to start on this conversation topic?
I'll start. I think more power to her because, when you suffer from something like depression, I suffer from anxiety, and you've got to know what your limits are and when to say, no, and when to stop, because it just your own well-being is, you can't get that back once you expend it to the point that you lose control of it. I think that she has made a decision for herself that the people around her, the people who work for her, the people who run these tours and these tournaments don't take into account the fact that the people who work for them and the people who must play in them, not only are they physical bodies, but they're emotional bodies as well. They're mental, they've got a mental state that isn't just focused on the sport. There are other things going on in their lives as well that they have to deal with and have to manage. And the media is not exactly, working in it. The media is not exactly a nice and welcoming place for people, particularly for young people of color. And when you're one of the few of any, it can be extremely harsh. And the fact that she wanted to take that time to not have to, present that front like I'm okay all the time is, admirable.
Well, I'm of two different mindsets on this, because I think that on one hand, I knew when she first announced the issue with the press that it was going to be a nightmare, because I had said to my husband, I said, I don't know if she wants to bark up this door, because what you start to do when you poke the bear a little bit, you open yourself up for more media and more interaction, and it'll be negative. If they can't get what they want from you in a controlled environment of a tennis situation about your work, it's very different. They'll go after your personal life. And I think that somewhere in the kickback from the way the tournament handled it with her, which was like, wait a minute, we get advertisers to support these tennis tournaments who therefore pay your high salaries. So what the hell are we doing? And these advertisers and the tickets and all of that support a lot of people. Those are a lot of jobs worldwide, globally. They tried to accommodate people and hang on through COVID and keep everybody safe. So they're in the hole. So I'm not saying that they weren't as sensitive to her saying that she was depressed and had mental issues about it. But I also think look at the country that you're dealing with too. I mean, they're not all cushy, comfy feely at this point. I don't know what else transpired, but they allowed her to come back with her comment of her mental health thing, because that's a battle she's not going to win. I can tell you that right now. Because when you sign the contract to do it, it's like that for musicians as well. When you sign to do a festival, it's usually in there. This is what you do. The people that I think are responsible for Naomi's situation are the people who handle her. And that should have been spoken before, as opposed to being in the middle of a tournament to do it, because you make yourself incredibly vulnerable to the press. Okay. And this is a person who showed up with masks, being an activist during the middle of, COVID and George Floyd and everything. And now, yes, it's just, I don't know, the timing was really strange. There's better ways to handle the communication, whether it be you bring somebody with you and say that's not an appropriate question. And I'm not saying it's easy, but I just think it was the goose that laid the egg. And I feel really bad for her if she has this stuff, but whoever manages her, it should not have gone this far. She should not have entered the tournament, period. Because they should know damn well that you don't come at them and say everybody's mental health. You can't. Because if they let one do it, all of them are going to do it. And then you end up with less sponsors, all the events that go into it.
Well, Christina's saying here she signed a contract and has obligations. She refused to do the press that was asked of her. If my job makes me depressed and I can't just show up.
Right.
Serena Williams handled it. I wish her the best. Then also, she wouldn't show up at press meetings and refused to go while other players did. The salary she has earned is from ads and press.
Exactly.
And Christy White says, absolutely.
Yeah.
this
and
Go
Piers
ahead.
Morgan went after her really hard in England, and I think it was
What a
terrible.
surprise! What a
And
surprise!
and on that, I don't want to join in to say I advocate what he's saying, because it's the way he says it, which is so nasty. And he's just from an era of bygone days. But somebody needs to have a little motherly or business motherly conversation with it. It's like her check-in point is like, are you good? Are you okay? There's a lot of young kids on the tournaments. They're all doing it, and yes, I don't know what they're all dealing with. Some had COVID, some didn't. The amount of injuries going on in this thing. We all have mental health issues at the time, but please try to mend it before and then, turn into, I'm going to be Prince on a tour and not answer press. If that's how it is, or you roll, it's usually in your rider that you don't do that. If you're going to be a tennis player like a rock star, then you come with your rider, and I want white jelly beans or whatever the hell it is. But that's an element that they never had in tennis. We got to remember, tennis had its own structure, its own traditions. It's very, whatever, la, 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 but it did. So if you can't do it, then take the time off. Maybe soon ripe, soon rotten, as as I grew up with. Some things happen too soon for people.
Anything you want to add, Aisha?
The part I just didn't understand was whether or not there were people around her who were, who could see the signs that, this is not going to be okay before she entered into the contract.
I mean, maybe she broke up with her
Because usually
boyfriend,
there are.
or, we don't really know. I mean, but I was going through a breakup once and damn near had a nervous breakdown at, whatever. We all have something. So the thing is, I think that when this happened, it didn't land that well. And then paid PR people had to come in and switch that narrative around quickly and say, I'm going to take a lot of time off, and I'm really shy, and I'm this and that. She brought a lot of attention to herself being an activist. Activists don't tend to be shy. They know exactly what they're saying and what they're doing. If you're going in and you want to change something, this isn't a people of color issue either. This was just about something, and we don't know what it is. But
so, Jill, then what do you feel about people who are saying this is a color issue?
I don't agree. I don't agree at all. Because I just don't. I mean, we can always find these whataboutisms about it. I think that you're dealing with a very stuffy, tennis is, kind of stuffy. It's always had that a little bit of prestige and elitist kind of thing to it. And I mean, do we have to break everything down to just this level of, I can't even imagine. When you're coming up in the ranks, you do things, you have interviews. I wish somebody would be, I could make that much money and walk off and have a few people asking. I'd just be thinking about my money the whole time you're asking me questions, because I don't have to answer them. Just because you ask me doesn't mean I can't say next question.
I want to take this a little bit further. Both you are media representatives. What do you feel about the media's role in this, if any? Are they to blame as much as some people are blaming them, or are they doing their job?
No, she made an enemy out of them.
Okay.
I mean, the thing is, they made her who she is. They partially did.
So here we go here. Her boyfriend didn't help. He is a rapper who made a lyric in a song that said, quote, "My girl will miss a press to spend time with me and my family." Does make you wonder.
Boyfriend, I'm telling you all, that was my first gut instinct, but I don't want to say it. Influence of boyfriend. Boyfriend that's interesting. I didn't know it went that far. Thanks, Christina. So her boyfriend capitalized on it because, it's often hard to be with somebody who's more successful than you are as a man.
Also here, Black Beauty saying, I'm just an older, softer, and I feel that I should have been able to take FMLA. I don't know what that means.
Oh, family medical leave. It's ACT. That's
okay.
That's
Okay.
the United States term for it.
Okay. Thank you on that. So we will see what happens this going further. And I agree with you, Jill. She's not setting herself up good when she comes back. The media, there's gonna have to
She's
be
done.
well,
She's done. No, it's great that everyone's saying, oh, now it's a conversation about mental health. But, you know, they interviewed Nadal. They interviewed a couple of other different people who were like, you know, your visibility is so key to your endorsements.
True.
These are your clients.
True.
This is not fun and games, but this was a personal decision she made. And I'm inclined to believe it's got another deeper meaning. And seriously,
Okay.
I think that, you know, and then the boyfriend's in the mix. It would have been great if he shut his mouth, but he didn't. So it's like, okay, let's make her a real whatever. And he can rap about it. And maybe he'll get a #1 record.
So it's a stay tuned kind of topic.
Exactly.
Absolutely. It's definitely a stay tuned type because I don't think
that's sad to me. That's actually that actually, you know,
but it
that
also
actually is a little
but it also
sad.
shows again a lot of women's tennis for years and years and years. It's all the younger ladies, and the media pressure, the performance is just high. The bar is higher. One of the things I do get out of this situation is, man, what kind of fortitude does Serena Williams have? Because Naomi Osaka, well, obviously there's a difference in age, but right from the beginning of the Williams sisters' career, they were getting it from the media.
Yeah.
They were, and their father actually was very involved. I saw
Yes.
a clip where he stood in and said, "You're not going to ask my daughter this." But I will say another thing is, it's like, you're talking about Serena Williams, one of the greatest tennis players of all time. And, you know, even when Naomi Osaka beat her the first time, she knew how to passively aggressively win. And I know this is going to be interesting. So Serena lost that one match. And on the other hand, she starts crying. I beat Serena. I'm sorry. I find it incredibly manipulative. I find every move manipulative now. I don't buy it, because that was even put more of the onus. It took away the sport of the game. It became personal with women. Like, she's such an icon. Have I ever seen Alexander Zverev cry because he beat Nadal? No. But see, women only want it when they can dish it back out. Like, they don't like you to dish it on them. You know, that's what's so crazy. It's like every time I hear that stupid Chris Everett narrating one of the tennis matches, you know, she just had a baby. Well, you know, the baby's 3. And you know, I don't know. It was really hard. And Serena had to, that's all they fucking talk about. It's like, this is a woman's career. She definitely gave you a peek inside to her challenges and all of that coming back. And they still want to revert it to. And then Naomi Osaka beat her the first time. And I know Serena must have felt like, wow, talk about an incredible class act. Because I might have been like, you know, you've dreamt of this day your whole life to beat me. But she went and she hugged her. But that's a class act. And that only comes from the experience and the brain power that those Williams sisters have. Their father and their mother prepared them well. And I'm sorry, I just don't buy every time. I can't believe I beat Serena. You know, I was like, okay. And I'm beating you know, they know how to play the game already, but they also know how to say, I'm too good for the media. Venus went through it and she dealt with it. They deal with it every day. Venus, they still try to write her off no. I think, like, we may not like who this little girl just became. And I'm not giving her a pass either, because everyone, like, she's young. She's got a serious bank account. And sometimes with that and a couple of wins, but there's something that is off about this.
Anything you want to add, Aisha?
Nope.
Okay, no problem.
Good.
Christy White says it's become very fake.
I agree. Yeah.
And the media was needing a story to talk about. They got it.
She became the number one story.
Yeah. Like,
you know,
all not just sports media, period.
Exactly.
I would love to have a conversation with a group of women to find out what they thought about this action, because it seems I'm hearing conversations all over the place from women. And a lot of them say, oh, she's being bullied, this and that. And then other women say, hey, she has a responsibility. That's part of her responsibility she signed up for.
Suck it up. I do that with my child, myself. I'm like, suck it up. This is it. If you're looking for everybody here, no, suck it up and deal with it, because things aren't just going to change overnight. But you still can't just be like, okay, nobody's trying to say bullying this person to hurt themselves or harm themselves. And yes, mental health is the code word right now. But I mean, damn, what is she Naomi Osaka or freaking Norma Ray? I don't know.
All right, let's move to our final conversation piece. And he's been mentioned a few times during our conversation, so I don't know if there's because he seems to be like has a bullseye on his back, according to Jill and Aisha.
Oh.
Joe Manchin, you've said a lot about him. Anything else you're wanting to add to the pile that you've put on his back?
The pile that he is?
Yeah. Just that he needs to get it together. He is sinking the party's messaging. But, Democrats are very good at having great ideas, bad messages. And Joe Manchin is not helping this at all. And he seems like he's very much out for self right now. I don't know what his end game is. And that's what bothers me more than anything, is I can't see what his end game is, because, presidential run is not in his future. So what is it that he's looking for?
Bingo. You said it. It's a real question. What is that about? You wouldn't try to take the chains off of the party? It's like, Joe, you've got your principles about how you want bipartisanship. But in the meantime, we're starving here and we're chained up, and you're worried about somebody breaking down your door to rescue us. Right. Don't use the keys. That's what you want. Fuck him. And I really mean that.
And it's like, there's, he's trying for bipartisanship with a group of people that are not trying to be bipartisan. You can't have bipartisanship if the other side does not work toward it. So really, the question is, what is his end game? What is it that he wants? Because clearly he wants something. He thinks that he's got this power now and he's going to maximize it. And he's going to hold the party hostage until he gets whatever he wants. He needs to state it soon, or else the party is they're going to deal with him.
And what is he getting is the real question, because he's getting something. Somebody indirectly is getting some money and it's going to be given to him or something. I don't know what it is, but it's pretty obvious. But this foghorn leghorn routine he's got going on has got to go. And he's another one. They are all friends. They have all known each other too long, and he's too long in the tooth and too immoral to be touting how it's not morally right to do he needs to sit down. And if there's anybody doing any digging on his life, please find it. Please, just let's just cut to the chase, because this is a problem. Who got to him? Who's getting to him? What's he getting paid? And I think that every single time any of these senators are in, someone should be monitoring their bank accounts every single week. Every single week. They should be monitored. Money, their investments, their stock. Really, I seriously just don't get it anymore. And he should be removed from committees, because if he decides to represent his state, then he should be a state. He should stay and deal with the state and do something. I don't care. But he cannot come and speak for specifically one state's interests without jeopardizing the rest of us. So he can go to hell.
Yeah.
So he's a horrible human being.
Yeah. Him and Kristen Sinema, I don't know what their end game is, because they have no opportunities at this point.
And this is how you know when people are when they've been gotten, right? because you've got people hurling insults at them night and day and night and day. And you're like, oh, wow, they're getting, no. They'll sit on TV and say things like, well, I don't think everybody thinks that. Dude, look at your Twitter. Look at your Twitter. Walk down the street in my neighborhood. Let's go to lunch. See, when you sit up there and put a bald-faced lie out there that you won't even acknowledge the millions of people that are dragging you every day, you were God. Somebody's paying you because you are not even concerned. You are God. You won't acknowledge that most of you have far more insults than compliments. In fact, I don't think I've seen a compliment on his page in many, many, many months. Not one. People spend their time to drag this man. And you're going to sit up there today on Face the Nation or whatever and say something like, I don't know if that's actually, what people, you know, they're like, well, people are really upset. I don't know. The people in my state, no, dude, you are lying. And he's no different than the Republicans. He's a big fat liar. And he goes home and he sucks up food and heat and he's stealing money from us, essentially. And he's stealing our lives, all because of a filibuster. He couldn't work his way out of a paper bag, but I'll tell you what, I know he's getting some paper somewhere, either through his nasty daughter or somewhere. There's some money coming to Old Mansion.
And somewhere the Republicans are behind this.
Absolutely.
Oh, yes. Oh, that's
it
a
stinks
no-brainer.
of high heaven. It stinks.
Absolutely.
So,
All right. Well, we ended off as usual, shaking our heads at some of the regular characters. But ladies, again, thank you so much for taking the time. I know it was on a Sunday night. Folks, we should be back on Saturday night coming up. Should be.
yes.
But
yes.
we will be back. We will be back. So as always, I'd like to thank both ladies for taking time out of their positive, productive schedules to make it another epic conversation. Before we let them leave, we're going to ask where they can be got a hold of. So first up, Jill Jones.
Jill D. Jones on Twitter or Instagram, Jill Jones Music. That's where I am.
That's where she is. And I'm just going to put her Twitter handle right up there so everyone sees it. Then Aisha.
Yes, you can find me at Aisha Staggers on Twitter or AK Staggers on Instagram.
Wonderful. And that's it. And for those who are watching this, unfortunately, because of technical difficulties, you couldn't see me, but you got two better looking people on the screen all the night anyway. So thank you for watching live or on the replay or listening to the replay. Some other comments here. Christy White, great job, ladies. Well, we hope we can get you back next week. Christy, I know you had some things, especially with her community that they are going through right now. And anything you can do to support the Indigenous community in Canada or in the United States would be greatly appreciated. And Christina says, have a good evening, ladies, and Dr. Vibe. So I'm going to make it quick here because you can't see me. I'm Dr. Vibe. I am here. You can hear me in voice, but you can't see me. And I host and produce the award-winning Dr. Vibe show, the home of Epic Conversations. I'm the host of Epic Conversations 2020 Best Podcast News Podcast Award 2018 Innovation Award given out. Oh, I've got one guy I got to see, Black Beauty. As always, it was live and hopping. There we go. Good stuff. And getting back, 2018 Innovation Award winner given out with the Canadian Ethnic Media Association, hosts the only online broadcast in the world for dads and fathers that is sponsored by Dove Men Care and Dad Central Canada's National Fatherhood Organization. Finally, I am the board chair of the Global Food and Drink Initiative. It's a multimedia not-for-profit that is dedicated to showcasing Blacks in the diaspora that are doing their thing in food, wine, and travel. I'd like to say shout outs to Black Beauty, Christy, and others who watched tonight. If I didn't mention you, it's my head, not my heart. Close up as usual. If you want to get a hold of me, just go to my website, thedrbeshow.com. That's where you can find all things Dr. Vibe. It's on the screen if you're watching. And finally, I'd like to say, live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get smaller to get stronger. Block assumptions and aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. love, faith, and respect. And remember to give yourselves grace. And catch us Saturday night, 9 p.m., June 12th. The ladies will be back in their regular time slot. Thanks for those who watched, listened, live, or on the replay. God bless. Peace be well. Keep the faith and walk good.